Right.
Yeah.
Luke,
Let's do it.
you've joined Payaca.
I have.
What made you do that?
Multiple reasons. After some time working with you and been doing some bits of contracting together. It's a really good vibe working for Payaca. I love working in a small team. It reminds me of early on in my design career of working closely with developers and product managers, product owners and researchers, and actually getting to ship value to customers rather than talk about it.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And seeing you come in and the impact that you've already made, I think like soon all of our customers will start to see the impact that you're having, because I think one of the strongest things you bring that we don't have at all at the moment, or we sort of had at given points in time, is the design skills. So that isn't just making things look pretty, that's making things like highly usable and easier for our customers to find the solution to the problem that they have. And I'm sure all of our customers will be able to point out areas of the applications that could be improved, and we're very aware of those. So it'll be really exciting to see what we can do there. But you've been brought in as an all-rounder as well. Ultimately, for a business of this size, you have to be able to do everything.
Absolutely. And I think for me it's quite exciting to be able to speak directly to customers and that not have to be through moderated rounds of research. It's a bit more, speaking to customers on intercom, more customer services side of things, really almost hearing it directly from them and it not being filtered down, and it's not in like an artificial environment. I think that's really powerful.
You've had that experience before.
Working in customer services for many years. I think it's about 4 or 5 years in total on the phones, working in the energy sector. It's quite eye-opening, because different types of customers have different problems and different needs that you need to try and solve, and you can't always meet them all at the same time. But I think by being closer to the customer, which is what you're all doing at Payaca already, which is one of the main reasons that I've joined, is to, you can make products that people will use and it'll improve their sort of like day-to-day working life, especially in field services businesses.
And how does the feedback loop compare to like when you see a problem, to how quickly you can solve it, like what you were doing to what you're doing now?
Well, so for example, I could speak to a customer on intercom, we could have a chat about it, talk to the engineers about it, design a solution that, there's lots of design practices out there. Not everything has to be researched thoroughly. It's like we know what good design looks like and what a bug or what a problem looks like. We could sketch it out, use our design system to create it in our design tools, work with the engineers, hand it off, and that could be shipped within the matter of an hour, a couple of hours. If it's a big issue or big feature, it could be a few days. But, actually at Payaca's size and the way that we are operating, you normally in a big company you're talking weeks and months. I've worked on projects for months at a time in large organisations that have just been canned. Tens to hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of investment down the pan.
I've been there in those situations where a lot of the reason that you doesn't feel like you can get stuff done quickly is because you've got somebody somewhere always going, oh no, wait, no, we can't do that. Oh, we need to talk to the customer. We need to get a focus group, and like all that stuff's fine. But in the environment we're in, it's just constant talking to customers, absorbing all of that. And the problem we've talked about loads and loads and loads. It's like the customers are not going to tell you the solution. They'll tell you a solution. Generally, it'll be a rubbish one. Like, no offense, customers, because you don't know the tech. You don't know how we could solve this problem best. So really, we're then delving into like what is the underlying problem, and then working that back up to what is a good solution that solves it for us as many different, in our case, industries as possible. But like how do you think about that? Because that's my experience. Like big companies, you're constantly almost like people trying to tell you that you're not listening to customers, whereas here it's like, well, we've absorbed thousands of customer conversations, and then we're able to then quickly on the fly go, well, I know what they're trying to solve, let's design something, get it out, get feedback, that is just not done in most big companies, is it? Like,
No, I think like a lot of big organisations, they just almost want to justify the management level of, we need. I say, okay, we need to have a strategy around it. We need to have a plan around it. And there's a time and a place for all that. But actually, just taking direct action on a pattern of, even if it's 3 or 4 customers saying the same thing, well, you can do something about it, design it, fix it, ship it, in the time that you would have taken in a large organisation to just have the conversations. I've spent countless hours in meetings, and you end up back at the start, and you could have delivered something or 5 different things in that time, and I think that's the beauty of operating in like a smaller organisation.
Yeah, and I think also you're not going to get it right every time.
Yeah.
You will make mistakes.
Yeah.
But as long as you get it right the majority of the time, sometimes you get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's just quickly iterate, reassess. Like, do we is that feature like still relevant? Like, should we take that out? Like, that's the kind of thing that is really hard to do.
Yeah.
But I think if you execute that well, our app certainly like web, mobile is certainly not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But what I can say is like we're like every day making it better.
And I think I completely agree, and I think there's things that we can do and we are doing that are time-saving measures through the design and development process. We don't need a team of 6 designers to create a bespoke design system for our needs, when there's things out there that exist in, we're in 2023 now, there's lots of design tools, and the same as engineering tools. You don't need to spend countless sprints developing bespoke things, but you can use off-the-shelf things to create bespoke software that solves a problem, which is what we're doing.
So you've come in, Owen's come in the tech team, really, and I guess you guys are pairing up and really looking to push forward our like front-end development side, so i.e. what the customers see. And it's really exciting to see that just move so quickly, because now we're in a place where it just feels like we can iterate quicker and quicker and quicker, and like we've only just started, really.
And I think that's it. And already, from the time that I've spent working at Payaca and with the team, we've shipped more than that I'd shipped in 12 months in previous roles. And that's not necessarily down to me or down to the engineers that I'm working with. It's the environment and the culture that we're sort of bringing around, like this continuous improvement, and actually it's quicker and easier to learn in a production environment. I mean, I'll just put it out there that you wouldn't do this if you were working on sort of like things that are affecting people's lives. Like, you wouldn't be testing NHS software, for example. Just put it live. Or blood testing. Yeah. But for what we're doing, I think it works perfectly to iterate and just release it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and ultimately, like there is a challenge there. Like, it is more likely that you'll break something.
Yeah.
And I think on the whole, customers do appreciate like just the speed that we're improving overall, and they are generally pretty understanding if like we break something, because if we break something, we'll fix it straight away. All hands on deck, and like it'll get sorted. You do run a slightly increased risk of that, but like that's the price you pay for moving forward quickly and getting better. And I think we're finding the right balance on that at the moment. Like, that's going to be a constant challenge, and perhaps as we are serving bigger businesses as well as smaller businesses, and we don't intend to move away from the smaller businesses, but sometimes like the larger businesses, the impact that something going wrong has, it's perhaps slightly greater, and there is more pressure to ensure that you've got all systems are 100% working at all times. So I think that's going to be an ongoing challenge. I think we've got it pretty good at the moment, but definitely.
And I think that'll be one thing that might change is we pick our times when we start making the changes to the software. Not saying every fortnight, but if we're making a release and it's gonna have a huge impact to a potential big client, then we just pick our time and our moment when we do that. I think there's still ways to keep the quote unquote agile way of working whilst growing and serving more customers.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, like we have generally sort of rolled out bigger experimental stuff on a sort of beta release basis, so we won't release it to all customers straight away. There's some like big fundamental shifts that we've had to make, and they've been more gradual. Maybe, I guess, like for me, it's just really like pushing every day to make things better. Like sometimes it feels a little bit too slow, but
Yeah.
you know, it's often it can be the right thing to do.
I think that's it as well, and you've hit the nail on the head with like sometimes it does feel slow, but other times it's like you can achieve so much in a day, whereas some days it feels like you're just working on one problem and you can't quite get to the bottom of it. And I think that's the balance, and it'll probably always be that way, like while working through some of the bigger problems as well.
So, what are you most excited about coming next for Payaca?
I'm really excited for, firstly, it's like the design challenge, and that's sort of my bread and butter of what I do. But I think growing with Payaca, and we've got our goals in terms of like growing the business, and I think being a part of that and having a broader role in a sense of supporting on the customer side of things as well, the sales side of things, getting to know our customers and the industry a little bit better. I think that is, you know, I've always had there's always frustrations wherever you work in terms of like when you're part of like a large design team or a large organisation, and now is the chance that I get to put those frustrations to the side, because there's no sort of head of design or design director that I'll be reporting to. It's kind of the decisions that I feel like I can make, and all the lessons that I've learned through all the different experience that I've had, I can really bring it into Payaca and drive the business forward as a whole, as opposed to just one tiny department.
Yeah. No, it's really exciting. And what kind of, in terms of like new features and things that we're working on at the moment, what are you most excited by?
I think the service plans I'm really excited by. I think enabling businesses that offer a service out there, whether it's heating or like boiler servicing, I think to be able to create that monthly recurring revenue and really drive the value into these businesses. And I don't think people realise that they can do that. So rather than something being so seasonal, and that could be across a number of businesses, and having like a steady stream of work throughout the summer, and then it becomes quite stressful in winter, I think you can take the edge off financially off that as well with doing that. And I'm really excited for the client portal. I think there's so much potential there to go out to like various types of businesses, for them to be able to manage their own clients. It's what I've seen be problems in other organisations in terms of the field management side of things, being able to schedule and book appointments, to be able to control finances in the application and keep track of payments. I think all of that side of things is like a huge value add.
And I think the other thing I would say is on the service plans feature enabling you to create recurring revenue, we've seen countless examples of businesses outside the heating industry, which is the obvious one, because typically you're selling a heating installation package. Gas boilers do need to be serviced on an annual basis to keep warranties valid, so customers expect to need to do a service. Same with for landlords, they have to carry out sort of annual checks, so it makes sense to be able to sell that on a recurring basis. But we've seen examples like in the electrical industry, EV charge point installers selling like recurring service packages. For any type of like business, I think often if you really do consider what you could offer, there's always going to be opportunities to build recurring revenue, and that makes your business like so much more valuable. So it's like really exciting, because it really feels like we're helping them create more valuable businesses, and this is like the most obvious way to do it. Don't be dependent on like work coming in. Like, make sure that you've got a revenue stream that is consistent, and
absolutely,
if you can develop a business model around that, like your business is going to be like so much more valuable.
I think that's gone to show as well over the past couple of years with like COVID and the lockdowns. Suddenly people's livelihoods can just stop, and actually by taking advantage of the features that we offer, that you can prevent things like that from happening. And it's just a different way of thinking about business. And I think on the types of clients that we use Payaca, types of businesses that we use it, there's a massive shift going on in sort of the heat pump installation, solar, even like down to like smart thermostats. And there's a lot of companies that are struggling to get these types of things out there, and there's really no aftercare in terms of like, it's like, okay, we've installed these things, okay, now what does the future look like? How do we take care of these customers? How do we even have agreements in place that we're going to look after them? There's a massive hole to be filled there, and I think what we're building with the right businesses on board, we can fill that.
And ultimately, like, saving a bunch of time where businesses are doing a bunch of like admin manually at the moment, and we're now like thinking about like how can we show how valuable that is, so you do more of it. Because we know that if you've got that in place, that's another way you're going to make your business more valuable.
Absolutely.
And also the experience of your customers is going to be so much better, and therefore that's another reason why they come back to work with you in future. So yeah, it's really exciting. It feels like we're working on all these things that is making all of these small and growing and some even like a little bit larger now, like businesses grow. And now we've got to that stage where we're able to serve slightly bigger businesses, and we want to talk to more of those, but we want to keep that ability for small businesses to create something new, spin up. This is going to be the platform that allows you to scale and compete with the bigger businesses. So it's cool.
We've definitely got the ability to do that. I'm actually like stoked to be on board. I think it's an exciting time. We are really pushing it forward, and from a design point of view as well. I mean, every designer is slightly different in how they like to work, but I think the entrepreneurial side of me loves to sort of move quickly and to be able to deliver this value and see where we can offer value to our existing customers. I think it's going to be an exciting one to get to know them as well, and looking forward to it. The best thing I think actually about working with Payaca is it's almost like within the design industry there's a big ego of like, these are the tasks that you need to do, and this is how you deliver value, which I think in some aspects and some big businesses works, because there's all the layers of management you need to go through, and that's how you communicate it. But I think actually being a designer or someone who's got like design skills and then wants to go like have a broader role, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to define yourself necessarily by just being a designer. You can do all of these other things. You don't have to put yourself in a box. And I think actually like a lot of people that I've worked with in the past and I've observed is, if you do put yourself in that box, and that's you can become quite frustrated, because the reality of working in the organisation, so they might need you to do something else, but if you're like, well, I'm only a designer, or I'm only doing this, it's like, well, in my eyes I see it as like, well, that's what I can do, but how do you provide as much value as possible? And that's going to make you the most successful, I would say.
I mean the fact that you are comfortable doing all these other things enables you to design in a better way. Like how is like to be like totally transparent, we've had other designers come in who have been very, very good at part of the journey, and in this environment, like it's super hard to deliver value, because you need to be able to quickly understand, take action, and deliver something. And we found out what kind of person we want, what kind of, I guess, skill set they have, and where they feel comfortable, and ultimately it's just having range. It's being able to do lots of different things. And maybe you're not the best at one particular aspect.
Well, hands down, not the best designer in the world. There's people that could be quicker in Figma, or they've maybe got a more visual eye, but it's that broad range of skills that I think is super valuable. Because you can learn all that stuff.
Exactly.
You can learn anything really. It's just the time to do it. I think you need to be in the environment where you feel you're encouraged to learn and take that upon yourself, and that's like what I find the team here do as well. Everyone wants to drive the business forward, and they're willing to learn and try new things.
Ultimately, like that, those are the kind of people that you need. And also, I think the classic model is like you start small and then you grow, and then you need specialists. There is so much more opportunity now to stay small for longer.
Yeah, for sure.
All the developments in AI over the last 6 months or so, it's a game changer. Like every person is using some aspect of that in their daily work, and it's saving them so much time, and we're delivering something better. And if we're able to stay small, then we don't have all that communication problem, and you can just be so much quicker. So that's kind of our aspiration at the moment, is not to be like, right, there's 7 of us now, we need 100 people. No, it's not that. Can we keep 7 for the next 3
Yeah.
years. I don't know. Like it'd be great to stretch like what's possible. I think that's
Yeah.
what we're sort of setting ourselves as a constraint right now, because I think it forces us to be better.
And I think that's it. You could, hire more and more people, grow. But historically, what you tend to see is there's a problem in a business, you hire a load of people to fix it, and then some automation comes in, then all of a sudden a lot of people have got to go. So I think by growing slowly and being able to do as much as we can and automate things and like with a small team size and working directly with developers, like with yourself, and it just that means we're so much quicker and we can actually solve so many more problems than if you were actually a big team.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we're the right size at the right time, because
Yeah,
now
for sure.
if you were a big company, you'd be going, well, actually, we've got all these efficiency tools now, like we don't actually need this many people.
Yeah.
You've got a big problem because you're
Yeah.
a big company as well. Like you've got to figure out how to manage that. Like,
Yeah.
but we're at the right size at the right time. It means like we don't have a problem. We can just like crack on.
And that comes back to being able to do multiple things,
Yeah.
speak to customers. I'm going to put it out there that I'm not the most comfortable with everything. Like doing sales is probably quite a new thing for me. So I think that will take there'll be a bit of learning around that and to get good at it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think people overthink it. They worry about it, and actually, if you're confident that you what you've got solves like a bunch of problems, all you've got to do is find out whether the person you're talking to has those problems, and if they do, you're not like it's not like I'm pushing something they don't want.
Yeah.
It's I've got something valuable.
Yeah.
That will deliver value to them, and it's just about talking to them until they either see that or don't. Like I think people, sales got such a bad rep, and like it's just.
You imagine like shirt and tie and being like very formal.
Just trying to, the sort of Wolf of Wall Street thing, where it's like that scene where it's like just basically talking someone around into something that they don't want. Like, That's the general perception of sales, and it's just.
So we're not going to be selling software to, I don't know, some government department, it's like, otherwise you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, it's just like, and ultimately, like a lot of what we're doing sort of marketing wise is getting people to come to us, it's creating valuable content that builds a following, people are more aware of who we are, they're searching for a problem, then they're sort of typing a problem in, like we're trying to surface that we have those answers, if that's a good match, and like everyone's not going to come to you. You do need to go out and find them, but like it's just, I think it's not that it's not hard, but it's not what most people think it is.
It's like anything, isn't it, with when you do anything new, it's like it's always way more like scary than when you actually do it. You're like, what was the fuss about? Like it's just classical of like,
I mean,
this was nowhere near as bad as you thought.
There's like this block that people have to just like picking up the phone. And it's sort of why, like, so just before this, like, because obviously you've joined and we're just I'm trying to record myself more, like video of me working, so I can share that. Not to say this is best practice necessarily, but just to share like how I'm working, so that people are able. Ultimately people are able to pick up more of what I do. And I just spent the time earlier this morning, like just filming myself for about 30-40 minutes, just going through our sort of sales pipeline, just making calls, sending some emails to like leads in the pipeline. Just, I guess, it's going to be helpful for anyone coming in, just to demonstrate that it's just, like, generally conversations are going to be really positive, or what's the worst case, generally someone just doesn't pick up, goes to voicemail, send an email. Like,
you can hide back under the desk.
It's like, it's the idea of it that's doing it, the reality of it. Like when I started Payaca, like I was super uncomfortable I didn't want to do it, but I just knew I had to go out there and see people. So I spent time like just going into some like merchants, being like, hey, can I set up a stand here and talk to people? I did not want to do that. So I just forced myself to do it. But also just cold calling. Cold calling like is nowhere near as bad as what people think it is. Not many people will tell you to do one. they'll either tell you they're busy or and then like 1 in 10 will they have a really good chat with.
Yeah.
It's just not something that people should be daunted by. But
And it's usually warm leads anyway when it comes to us. It's that someone signed up for something.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we want to have a chat to them about what they need.
Exactly. But I guess my wider point is that even cold outreach is not. It's not that bad.
Yeah, people tend to be quite nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you'd do well to find someone that's not very nice, or they might be having a bad day.
Yeah, and you'll get that with our like current customers as well. Like sometimes like super stressful, something bad's happened, they'll like, you know, maybe not. You feel like, oh god, this customer hates me. Like, and then they'll like send a message like later on, being like, oh, we're really sorry about that. I was like, having a stressful day.
I think anyone in a customer, like from doing customer services myself, you know, you just know that you get the odd person that is not having a good day, and it's usually not your software or the service that you're providing that's the problem that's annoyed them. It's something else, and then they're taken out.
So I think it's just like realising that and almost just giving people the benefit of the doubt all the time, because the majority it's just not worth getting worked up about. You can think, oh, someone's been really rude or whatever. But just see the best.
With that in mind, I'll be straight on the blower after this.
Cool.